Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being with us, and welcome to the 2019 Agbioscience Innovation Summit, presented by Corteva Agriscience Elanco Animal Health. My name is Beth Bechtel. I'm the president and CEO of AgriNovus Indiana, and I am thrilled to have this many people excited and interested in the Indiana Agbioscience economy and the innovations that are taking place all across food and agriculture. I'm often reminded that when we host events like this, we tend to get right to it. Meaning we tend to jump into the meat of the conversation, we tend to jump right into the educational learnings, and we sometimes fail ourselves by not spending a little bit of time sharing with you a little bit more about the organization that is AgriNovus. And so I'd like to spend a little bit of time this morning giving you a little more of a sense of some of the work that our team does. Besides putting on an outstanding event like this for the day, there are 364 other days of the year that we really commit ourselves to advancing the Indiana Agbioscience economy. There are essentially 4 important areas of work that our economic development-driven organization commits to on a daily basis. The first is amplifying the ag bioscience story. And I think it's always important here to make sure that I explain to you, for those of you not familiar with the organization, and maybe even a little bit new to the food and agricultural economy, what we mean by ag bioscience. When we talk about this cluster, you can see on many of our materials and the other kinds of presentations that we make that we very intentionally use the plus sign in the middle of the word. Ag plus bio plus science. And the reason we do that is we want to convey that this sector is a sector of convergence. It's not just agriculture. It is production agriculture in an incredibly technologically intense and modern and 21st century capacity, but it's also where food and agriculture intersects with the life sciences sector, where it intersects with the advanced industries, technology, automation, and robotics. And so we get to be, many times, the megaphone, we say, for this sector and all of the incredible innovation and innovators who are a part of it. We also put people in a room. We do that really well, as you can see from the event today. We put people together in rooms oftentimes who don't actually know that they're supposed to be in a room together. Maybe sort of some unexpected introductions or some unexpected partnerships. We like to connect entrepreneurs to investors, corporate leaders to startups, university researchers to young talent, making sure that people come together around this common and shared interest or engagement in the ag biosciences. We also focus on talent, and it's tremendous today to see so many young people sitting in the front of the room, mind you, to all of you in other generational capacities, that they are in the front of the room, ready for the day, I think, that is about to come. But we know that if Indiana and the Midwest are expected to be national and global leaders in innovation, you don't do it through technology alone. You need people. You need next generation talent. You need the next group of leaders in the next generation who are thinking about the jobs of the future and the innovation of the future. And finally, we also know that another critical piece to this entire ecosystem is activating and encouraging the activity of startups, entrepreneurs, the creative types, the people who have an idea, who understand the way to go about developing technology, have the opportunity to commercialize that, and also need the support of many of you as other stakeholders and partners in the room to make those ideas come to life. When I talk about amplifying the story, there are a couple of things that we are especially proud of. We have an amazing partnership with Inside Indiana Business. In fact, Gary Dick will be with us later today to moderate one of our closing sessions. We have put together, in partnership with them, a weekly podcast. Indiana is Ag plus Bio plus Science. What else would we call it? And in that podcast, we take 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, which means that you all should be subscribing now because it shouldn't take much time out of your busy days and your busy schedules to hear the voice once a week of some very unique, very thoughtful, very innovative person who you might not expect to be a part of the ag bioscience economy. To date, we have done over 50 of these podcasts, and I'm happy to say our list is probably full for actually all of 2020. When you think about the voices that we can feature in this delivery mechanism, it's exciting to realize that the people who are a part of the ag bioscience economy, we don't run short on them. And part of that is we don't always have you listen to the expected voices. Many times it comes from a different industry, someone with a very different background that has a very unique touch point to the ag biosciences. We also have developed an incredible new partnership with Forbes. Many of you know that we hosted the first Forbes Ag Tech Indianapolis Summit last year in 2018. They were back in Indianapolis in 2019, just a few months ago. And we even had an opportunity this year to partner with Forbes on one of their other franchise signature events, their Under 30 Summit. So while the Ag Tech Summit brings several hundred people together around the future of ag tech, the Under 30 Summit, held in Detroit in October, brought together 10,000 millennials and other parties, all interested in a number of different topics that are important to that particular generation. What's exciting to us is that ag tech is now a part of the programming at this Under 30 event. And AgriNovus and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation were headline sponsors of that ag tech track at the Under 30 event. And we hope that it helps in delivering a very important message about the innovation in agriculture. And as I said earlier, also the jobs of the future, the career pathways for a next generation, in thinking about where and how they fit into that. One of the other capacity building opportunities that this has given us is to actually begin to think about how does Indiana, through this relationship with Forbes, begin to bridge more of the innovation and the creativity that's happening here in Indiana and in the Midwest with the West Coast especially. I'd like to ask for a short video to be played to tell you a little more about that.
In today's food and agricultural system, the problems that need to be solved are multifaceted and very significant in size, which means you need a lot of critical thinking and a lot of skill sets and a lot of different kinds of people and ideas to be a part of finding those answers.
Bridging talents with other regions, particularly in agriculture, we need to pull together what we see coming out of Silicon Valley and pull it into the realities of the environment that we work in here in the Midwest.
The more of a connection that we have, and once you kind of establish a link between two locations, you're going to see that activity kind of happening.
So for those folks that are looking to invest in agriculture and technology, whether you're entrepreneur or venture capitalist, it's important to remember that 70% of the land in the United States is in the hands of private farmers and ranchers. And if you want to actually solve a problem at scale, you're going to have to get into rural America, which means coming into the Midwest, so that you can actually work with the people that are able to help you get your businesses and ideas to scale.
And clearly in the tech world, which we are thrilled to have a growing ecosystem here in Indiana, you see advancements coming in data science, informatics, machine learning, AI. And so to be able to have in your own state, in your own backyard, not just agricultural expertise, but also these other industry strengths that can be better leveraged and brought together with your agricultural experience really makes for an even greater economic opportunity for us here.
We also, as I said earlier, like to, again, put people in unique settings and have very unique conversations among them. The Under 30 Summit was one way that we were able to do that, again, with a very diverse group of entrepreneurs and innovators, but we also have tried to take advantage of some of Indiana's other assets. For those of you outside of Indiana, you may not know as well as those of us inside Indiana, we are considered the racing capital of the world, and so being able to access the incredible landmark that is the Indianapolis 500 and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we were able to bring together a day of innovation on what's called Carb Day, which is the fun part of getting down and seeing the race cars out on the track as they're getting ready in the days leading up to the race. We always like to find these kinds of opportunities to bring unique people together. It never hurts, right? We tend to sometimes be a little bit better at networking when maybe some of us have a beer in hand. It's a little early for that. That'll come later in the day. We know how to have fun. And we just a few months ago launched a really outstanding program called Quadrant. This is our monthly Ag Bioscience community gathering, community building event. I would encourage you to learn more about this program. We have it here locally at Indiana City Brewing, obviously. The location speaks for itself. But we try to always not only have opportunities for people to gather and to network, but to also bring in each month a featured thought leader. The last 3 months, our first 3 months, we very intentionally identified local thought leaders who frankly came from other industries, people who weren't expected agricultural voices. They came from the venture capital group, they came from city leadership, they came from a variety of different backgrounds, and just this last week we were able to sort of pivot into some of our ag bioscience thought leadership, and we were very fortunate to have both Sunny and Scott Beck, two of the leaders of Beck's Hybrid. Scott will be with us later today on the program. An incredible family, an incredible company, and an incredible company that's innovating in the ag biosciences. We also, as I mentioned, think a lot about next generation talent. I can't put an event together as a part of AgriNovus without always thinking about incorporating or promoting the blue corduroy FFA jackets. I've been very honored to be a part of FFA leadership at the national level and involved here in Indiana as well. Despite not having worn the blue jacket myself, I keep waiting for the honorary jacket. It just hasn't arrived yet. So Mark Peschel, if you're in the room and you can help me with that, think about that. We had a tremendous opportunity when Mark, the new CEO, not relatively new any longer, but an AgriNovus board member as well, came into his role at National FFA to present him with an idea and a vision that AgriNovus leadership had really sort of crystallized in the last few years, which was, here we are focused on innovation and the development of new technologies and thinking about the opportunities for young people to be a part of that. How do we marry those two concepts, those two priorities together? And sometimes you think about a program or you think about a curriculum development of some kind. We actually decided that more than anything, what was needed was a technology experience for these young students, FFA members from across the country at their annual convention, which is held every year here in Indianapolis. And out of that idea, technology experience, came the concept of a pavilion of sorts that ultimately became a room, a 17,000 square foot room inside the Indianapolis Convention Center that now is very well known nationally as the Blue Room. Blue and gold, right? Pretty creative. AgriNovus was thrilled that Mark immediately latched on. His background coming from Cargill, being a part of innovation and technology himself, he knew instantly what the vision was and why it needed to be propelled. Alongside that, very soon after, not only came support from a number of corporate innovators, sponsors of FFA activities already, but even more excitingly came alongside a very new partner to the National FFA, which is Microsoft. And Microsoft and AgriNovus are now the presenting sponsors of the FFA Blue Room. We have got many opportunities to be in that room with students who come through, each of them for a 30 to 45 minute segment inside the room. This year, we got a chance to present on the blue stage about some of the jobs of the future that really tackle this topic that AgriNovus cares so much about, of building next generation talent. I want to play one more video for you and let you see a little bit more about what's actually inside the Blue Room.
Walking through the Blue Room as a student is crazy cool. I think that we're showing a lot of really exciting technologies and innovations that are a part of agriculture that aren't always seen on a day-to-day basis in an agricultural education classroom. So I think all that more valuable that FFA and AgriNovus as well as Microsoft have come together to create this space for students to experience what those demonstrations look like and where agriculture is going as an industry.
Right now, agriculture is just as technologically intensive as any other sector of the economy. And so one of the very important purposes of the Blue Room experience is to make sure that we're showcasing that technological advancement and innovation to these students here at the FFA.
When the Blue Room was introduced in 2018, we wanted to create an experience for students. We wanted the Blue Room to be something that was incredibly interesting to them and challenge them to think about what the future of agriculture is really going to look like.
The energy is really contagious, and I think we have, again, just found this partnership to be so valuable to effort. We just love having just this array of technology companies and partners who all come together.
AgriNovus has as its vision making Indiana the home to unparalleled ag bioscience talent and innovation. But when it comes to the Blue Room and it comes to this relationship with National FFA and Microsoft, that's when we get to really focus on the talent piece of that statement, which is really for us, how do we start creating awareness and then building opportunities for the next generation to find really cool career pathways and jobs in food and agriculture.
What's happening is very exciting, and I think what AgriNovus says is awesome because it's happening here.
So big shout out in our efforts around the Blue Room to, again, a number of our stakeholders and our corporate partners who all were a part of that room, and a special note of thanks as well to Claire Bainey, who was the FFA student officer featured there. She was also AgriNovus's thus far first, and only summer intern. So we love having Claire be a part of this entire experience with us as well. And finally, I mentioned earlier that we focus on activating entrepreneurs, on supporting startup companies, growth stage companies. In the spring, we have an annual showcase event that brings Indiana Agbioscience early stage companies and entrepreneurs to the stage, much like we'll be moving into here next on the program, to really focus on activating their interest on building a funnel and a pipeline of next generation companies that are here. We've had a tremendous partnership with a handful of organizations that really very intently focus on this kind of entrepreneurial development. Many of you were able to attend last night a G-Beta Accelerator Pitch Night. Generator is the organization that hosts the G-Beta Accelerator program. We partnered alongside some of our other industry partners this year with them and ran a very specific ag bioscience mentorship accelerator cohort for 5 companies who you'll get to meet a little bit later today. That was an exciting opportunity for us to, again, really begin to catalyze that kind of entrepreneurial spirit here in the state. We also have a partnership with SVG Ventures and their Thrive Accelerator, which is based out of Silicon Valley. And this last year, we ran our first Midwest Ag Tech Accelerator with them using their accelerator-based model, and they brought those startups to the Forbes Ag Tech Summit for their final presentations. We, of course, though, could not do this without the support of so many important partners. As we say, these are the partners that are behind this ag bioscience movement. These are the organizations that make time and financial commitments to AgriNovus. We are proud of the diversity of the relationships that we have, whether it cuts across state government, the private sector, commodity organizations, philanthropic organizations, colleges and universities. In many ways, that really does start to become sometimes the ingredients or the factors of success when you have those different perspectives and different points of view all working to achieve this common mission of promoting the ag bioscience economy. And this is the AgriNovus team, the team that I couldn't be any more proud of. When somebody from Microsoft pulls you aside and wants to hear a little bit more about AgriNovus and how we get done, all of the things that we get done, and I say, with our team of 6, and that person stops me and says, 60? 600? 6,000? If you're Microsoft, we're 6. And this team is so incredibly dedicated to every part of the work that I have just been able to share with you, and I thank them for their commitment and their leadership in all that we do. At this time, I want to sort of pivot and tee up a little bit more for you about the program that we have lined up for you today. It's very important each year that we think about the theme of the day's program, that we take you on a narrative journey of sessions and content and learnings. This year's theme is pushing boundaries. And I really can't think of maybe a more appropriate quote-unquote tagline for this year's summit than that one. This sector, the innovation that is today taking place, being developed in food and agriculture, is pushing boundaries like it never has before. And the opportunities feel, in many ways, limitless. I think our organization, and many of you as partners of ours, are also pushing boundaries. We're starting to get out of our comfort zones a little bit. As we say, we're sort of done being modest. It's time for Indiana to really very vocally tell its innovation story, and we're proud to have many of you as a part of this. I would also encourage each of you today to sort of push outside of your own personal boundaries. Open your minds to the sort of lessons and the information that will be shared with you so that you really do take in the full effect and the full benefit and the full scope of this innovation that is occurring in agriculture today. I think you'll be pleased and be able to leave the event today realizing just how exciting of a time it is and just how much opportunity there is. So at this time, before we jump into the program, I always have to also be the person who gives just a few reminders, mostly housekeeping. Before I do that, I would like to make sure that I mention our platinum sponsors this year. You heard me say that the overall event is generously presented by Corteva and Elanco, of which we are thrilled to have their support. But this year we also are supported at our highest level by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, Foundation, the Indiana State Department of Agriculture, the Washington, D.C.-based Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, and also Forbes. So please join me in thanking not only those signature sponsors, but all of our sponsors throughout the course of the day as well. We are very active on social media, very active. In fact, I get told many times, I see your stuff all the time, which means that Bridget O'Reilly, our digital media manager, and the rest of our team is doing incredible work by telling the story and amplifying it through a number of different channels. But we hope that each of you join in the conversation today as we go through the sessions in the program. Please feel free to be on Twitter all day long. It's a success when we find that we're trending at some point in the day, so put that out there as a goal for all of you. Speaker handles are in the program. You should have every piece of information that you need to be socially active today. And make sure that you use the hashtag AgriNovus Summit. There is, from a technology perspective, Wi-Fi available. That too is featured on the first page of your summit program. Marriott Conference is the network that you will log into. And we also want to thank our partners at Inari for sponsoring Wi-Fi access for everybody today. We know it's hard to completely shut down your use of technology through the course of a day like this. So we encourage you to keep up with your business activity and wanted to make sure that we kept that available. The password is Inari Ag, and again, featured in your program. When we ask questions of panelists or of speakers, please come to the microphone stands that are positioned throughout the room. Many of the moderators will prompt you for when they're ready for questions from you as the audience. This is never a shy group, as we've learned over the last few years. So please be a part of engaging with our speakers. They appreciate that, and it's an important part of the dialogue and the conversation throughout the day. We also have a new element to this year's summit, which is a video booth just outside of the room itself, out in the hallways. This is brought to us by our partners at the Plaid Agency, who have always helped us in storytelling and narrative around the ag bioscience work. Our goal for this element is to capture the excitement and what you all have learned through the course of the day. So make sure you take a moment, stop by the video booth, and capture your thoughts so that we can leverage those learnings and those impressions in everything else that we do. And of course, I would be remiss, again, I won't ask for the picture of the cup of beer to be put back up, but after the entire day, I really do hope that each of you will stay for our networking reception, not only for the appetizers and the beverages, but for the excellent connections and for the conversations that take place when we come together at an event like this.